Morning, ladies and gentlemen. Good morning.
I'm doing a very, very short drive this morning. So much to do, let me tell you. I don't know, maybe I'll do it as another live demo, but maybe not, because I'm not sure. Oh, no, I can't. Anyway, so I was supposed to have an interview to record at 10 today, which I realized yesterday, but I thought I had the morning free, and I go, oh no. And it's not because I don't want to interview this person, but it's because I have so much to do that I need the free time. But I got a message from Dave this morning saying that they had to cancel and reschedule. So, I mean, the Lord works in mysterious ways, folks, right? Although, is that really mysterious? Well, whatever. Point is, I have the time now, but I don't have all the time in the world. So I'm going to do just my quick drive. I was going to do a drive around anyway because it's a gorgeous day. Haven't driven around the battlefield in a few days because I've been so busy. And so I figured, what the hell, I'll do it now and take you along with me. So here we are, driving down Buford Avenue. Just got off Chambersburg Street. This is known as Buford Ave, from basically Chambersburg Street to, I always put it at the seminary. I don't know where it technically ends, but once you hit Seminary Ridge, that's where I think of it ending. So here we are, driving along. If you ever want to avoid the tourist crowds, I hate to tell you this because then it'll ruin it for me, but right to the right is a place called Montezuma's. If you hit Pizza Hut, you've gone too far. Montezuma's, great Mexican food, delicious Mexican food, fastest service in town of any restaurant. And I've never had a complaint about the food there. Always tastes good, always fresh, piping hot. And I swear, while you're in the middle of ordering it, you haven't even finished the words of the name of your dish, and it's on the table. That's the Gettysburg Guarantee. So I highly recommend it. Just, if I'm there or you see me come in, get up from your table, take the food out to the car, because I'm going there to avoid waiting. Okay? Thank you. I appreciate that. All right. So I'm editing a video, so don't forget, Monday the 20th, JFK show, 7 post-meridian. Jen Murray taking the side of the conspiracy theories, me taking the side of reason and evidence. And now, it's such a huge case to unfold, so we're going to focus on the big ones, starting with Oswald himself. Then we're going to get into a little bit of your magic bullet. And then we're going to get into, and in that would also include the head wound and the back into the left nonsense. And then, the Warren Commission itself, there's a Zapruder film. Yesterday I was scouring the internet for actual scientific studies, reports of scientific studies. I found one. It's got so much calculus in it. I'm like, I don't even understand any of this. These formulas they might as well have been Chinese or some kind of Arabic writing. I couldn't recognize a single symbol. Even the equal sign didn't look like an equal sign. It was squiggly. It was like 2 tildes, one on top of the other. And I took that to mean kind of equal, approximate, but I don't know. But anyway, the words, when they spoke in English in the words, were interesting. Talking about ballistics and the head wound, the round used, the angle, the wind, the speed of the wind, the direction the wind is coming from, what happens when the bullet hits bone and then the brain tissue, and it just really interesting stuff. And the more I read that, the more I was like, these conspiracy theorists are full of shit. They are playing on the ignorance of the American people, including myself. I was ignorant to physics and all this stuff, and ballistics and tricks that watching a film of something can play on you, just by nature, not with any kind of manipulation. So yeah, it's going to be interesting. But so this morning I'm editing a video, like a little introduction, with just highlights of the day, some other boobs commentary on it. But it's out there. You just gotta be patient and really scour. So good morning, Chris. Good morning, Andy. Hi, all. Pause the Gettysburg movie to be here. Oh, very nice. Do you have the day off, Andy, that you're watching Gettysburg? Good morning, Eric. How are you? Where are you today, Uncle Traveling Eric? Jerry, good morning. Eric said, I heard your nice dinner the other night was interrupted by a rude college student. Yeah. Yeah, it's just barged over there in the middle of a really good anecdote that I was telling. I had everybody at my, in the palm of my hand, and then she just barges in. No, she's very sweet. Everybody loves Elizabeth. She's very funny. She cracked up the table. I forgot what she said, but she made us all laugh. Very witty girl. Very witty girl. She must take after her mother with her wit and charm. Kevin says, oh, what a beautiful fall day. It is. It's 40 degrees, but it's not like, let me think here. Yeah, it's not unbearable. I don't have my jacket on. It's near me, but I don't have it on. Josh says I should be driving the Gettysburg Road by lunchtime today. Very nice. Kevin says, yes, that was a symbol for approximately equal. Oh, okay. All right. So I can figure some things out. There was one symbol, I don't know how to explain it. It was used where maybe you would put a slash, like a stretched out S, and it was very big in the equation. I couldn't figure out what, is that like smart people symbol for division or something, or no, because there were division symbols in there. I don't know, but the point is, luckily there were words to explain things, and even though it didn't totally demystify all that stuff, it still was enough for me to have an understanding of what I was reading. No, I sneak it on my phone while at work. Oh, look at you. Good morning, Tom. Ghost says, good morning, all, in day 7 of 12 of a 12-day... Wait, I'm sorry. Day 7... What? In day 7 of a 12-day, 12-hour work week. Oh, gotcha. Oh. You're going to sleep so well when that's over. Good morning, David. How art thou? Excuse me. Back home from Atlanta till after Thanksgiving. Then what? Do you go back to Atlanta, or are you going somewhere else? I didn't realize you traveled for work, or are you just trying to get away from the family? Chris says, good morning. Good morning, Chris. Jonathan says, where are we going? We're just going for a quick ride around the battlefield. We're on West Confederate Avenue. By the way, when you watch a Gettysburg Christmas, in the opening sequence when they're driving, look for the cannon here. And tell me what catches your eye about it. Bo forced me to come out of my house on a cold, blizzardy winter day in 2021 to get footage, just in case they didn't have snow when they shot the following year. And he was smart in doing that. What he wasn't smart in was not crediting me for the footage. And you see it anytime. I'm going to keep saying this because this is the greatest injustice in the history of injustices. Because I'm not credited for the B-roll. And they use it. Can you live feed Bob's beer and soda stout inventory? Well, if I knew what that was, I would perhaps consider it, but I don't know what the hell you're talking about. It's in Hanover. Whoops. Sorry, I meant to go there. Would do what? What do you want me to do there? Like just sit there and talk, or? Tom says, I've had my fill of conspiracy theories. I'm sure you have. I'm still looking for the evidence of the shoe factory in Gettysburg. Yeah, right? Ugh. I mean, come on, man. Can't we just get like a simple story? What does it say about the psyche of the public that they think it's more plausible that everybody and their mother was involved with the JFK assassination except Lee Harvey Oswald? Or if they think Oswald is involved, he was involved just because he was caught up with the wrong group of people and they said, this guy's a sucker, we're going to make him the fall guy. Many years before the fall guy was ever a TV. I hope it started from Eric says, travel for work, going the week after. Hopefully that's it for the year. Yes, hopefully. Jonathan Matthews says, LOL, don't listen to me. No. I mean, if you got a good suggestion, I'll take it. But I don't know what you're thinking. I want to know what you're thinking. Andy says, you and me both, Tom. Closest I can figure is the outlet mall with the shoe stores. There you go, Andy. That's a good one. But how does that explain Jack Ruby's actions? Okay, that's another one. Jack Ruby, a violent man who has mob ties, but the problem is there are no ties to Jack Ruby and Lee Harvey Oswald. They investigated that. They looked for the ties to these guys and didn't find it. And here's the simple reason why, and this is hard to swallow. Oswald was such a loser, even organized crime didn't want anything to do with the guy. He probably never met anybody in organized crime because he had no life. He spent his time in his room reading or beating on his wife. He was a loser, a born loser, and his mother made him a bigger loser. And all he ever wanted to do was be somebody, but everybody that he went to be somebody with was like, this guy's a nut. The communists didn't want him. Let that sink in. Look who's communists. All the communists you know today. Look, they're lunatics, right? Right. We're not discussing that. They are. All right. So, the Communist Party of the United States, the Soviets, did not want Oswald. He was a loose cannon. He was a nut job. So I don't believe that he ever met Jack Ruby. I don't believe Jack Ruby knew him. And here's the other thing. If you look at Jack Ruby's actions that day, it couldn't have been a premeditated murder of Oswald. Here's why. Oswald was publicly scheduled. In other words, the public was told that he was scheduled to leave the police department for the prison at 9:30 a.m. Jack Ruby goes to the Western Union office, and I'll have the actual time of this at the show, but I want to say at 10 a.m. to send a money order to one of his dancers who needed money, $25. He brought his little puppy, not his puppy, his dog with him, which is like a little lap dog called Sheba. And he adored this dog, and he left the dog in the car because, as chance would have it, they haven't left with Oswald yet because they got delayed for whatever reason. Okay. I'll walk next door to the next building into the garage. The cops know me there. because they all come to my my club. So I'll get in, it'll be no problem. There'll be a whole bunch of press around. So why was he enraged? He was enraged because there was a flyer that was put around, that circulated around Dallas before the president's arrival by a conservative group, and the guy who signed it had a Jewish name. Well, they interviewed the guy who signed it, I forget his name, and he said, well, I signed it because we Jews tend to be liberal Democrats, and I wanted to show that not all Jews were liberal Democrats. So I signed it. Remember, with Kennedy, they assumed it was like John Bircher Society people or something like that. So they all blame the right. And Jack Ruby, whose real name is Rubenstein, but they changed it because, that's what you did. He didn't want Jews to have a bad name. And God forbid if they found out that someone related to this group or the guy who signed it was, or someone was Jewish that did it, then it would reflect badly on them. And he said, I'm going to do something good to show that, Jews can do something good, or something to that effect. And I think he also felt bad for Jackie, but he was just enraged with the whole situation, and he was worried about, because you got to remember, World War II wasn't very long before that. So, he knew what could happen. And I don't think Ruby was in the mob, because, again, he's another guy, slightly more than a loser. I mean, he had a successful business and he's a seedy nightclub owner. He knew people with the mob, but the mob wasn't particularly comfortable with a guy like him either, to trust him to do, serious things. And then you say, well, what about all the stuff that Ruby said in those interviews after he was caught about, the things that I know that, he would surprise. Look, it's an attempt to exonerate himself, I'm sure. I mean, Oswald himself was like, I didn't do it, I'm just a patsy, blah, 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 blah. But, how many people are sitting in prison now that didn't do it when they got him dead to rights? Now, it's a little different. We don't have Oswald dead to rights, but all of the circumstantial evidence points to Oswald doing it. And meanwhile, the conspiracy theories, there's no evidence. It's just questions about things taken out of context, normal situations that no one would bat an eye at on any other day, but because it's the day of the assassination of JFK, suddenly everything is significant. It's ridiculous. All right, let me stop here because I'm gonna head straight to the studio in a second. So let me just stop and catch up here. Andy says, you mean the communists of yesterday, today's communists might have acted differently. Well, I think Oswald acted like today's communists would too, but I'm talking about organizations. The communist organizations are still watched today, just as they were back then. Maybe they're allowed to get away with things more than they were back then now, but Oswald was not a member of any official organization because he was a nut, and so he acted on his own. But I don't think if he were a member of a communist organization back then, I don't think they would have sanctioned his assassination of the president. He would have done it probably on his own anyway. Kevin says, when I traveled to work, I got to stay in a location where I was. When I traveled to work, okay. When you apply Occam's razor to the JFK assassination, you end up with Oswald being the lone gunman. Exactly, Chris. Good morning, Alex. Ghost, Chris, so true. It's what the simplest solution is always. Well, yeah, because if you go anywhere else, it gets too convoluted. And, I was talking to Colby about it last night. He's like, dude, it's totally Oswald. He's like, if you get 2 people, 3 people involved in something, no one can keep a secret. This has hundreds of people involved. And he's like, honestly, one person who doesn't involve anybody else in their crime still has a hard time keeping a secret. Eventually they say something that leads to their unraveling. And he's right. Like, think of all these like serial killers who get caught because, they get sloppy. They're arrogant. They want people to know they did something big. That's what Oswald was. He was delusional. He was narcissistic. He thought he was bigger than he was. He wanted to be somebody. And no one would take him seriously because he just didn't have it. Fallen Gettysburg is great. One of my favorites. Yeah, it's beautiful. It is a beautiful time of year. Although now most of the leaves are gone, so you don't have the color anymore. It's just the drabness, but still nice. Ghost says Oliver Stone's movie muddy the hell out of it. Yeah, with all the sheeple, it's easy. Well, okay. So, did you know that after the trial of Clay Shaw, which is the only person tried for anything to do with the assassination of JFK, Jim Garrison, there's a federal case that I printed out yesterday. I didn't read the whole thing, but basically Jim Garrison was, I don't know what the technical term is, but he was spanked for that trial. And he was ordered to leave Clay Shaw alone after that. And it was basically deemed harassment. The trial itself was deemed harassment of Clay Shaw. Because what they did was they trumped up some charges against Clay Shaw just to get a public forum to then make the case that there was a conspiracy to kill JFK. And the jury was like, okay, well, maybe that's true or whatever, but as far as the things you're charging Clay Shaw with, not guilty. And rightfully so. Jim Garrison was a nut job. See, that's the thing. All these people are nuts. And I know it's like, oh, he's like, every guy says all his ex-girlfriends are nuts. Most of that's true. But it's also true in this case that these people, if you look at them in totality, not just on November 22nd, or not just in Jim Garrison's case, at the trial from the movie JFK, if you look at them in their entire lives, in their entire careers, they're crazy people. They're not people that you would want to get close to. So anyway, we're going to talk about all this. I'm going to try to have visuals for you guys to see what I'm talking about, like especially with the magic bullet, the pristine bullet. When you take a shot of it one way, it's pristine. When you take a shot the other way, it is quite deformed. It'll be fun. But otherwise, I've got a ton of stuff to do. Very little time. I have 2 shows to record tomorrow, and then I'm going to Jim and Eric's Christmas party at 7:30 at O'Rourke's. Jim told me, he's like, you got to stay longer than to take pictures with Gary Edelman. Because I guess last time at the Reliance Mine, I didn't stay very long, which I didn't. And I took some pictures with Gary and then soon after left. But I left because it was cramped. It was too small a space and it was hot and there was like 4 deep to get a drink and I just wanted a beer and I didn't want to wait in line. So we went across the street to ABC. So that's all. I hope that, I think the upstairs, I think it's going to be in the upstairs. I think that's bigger. Should be more space up there. And then Saturday is Remembrance Day stuff, the parade, and a very special event that is top secret. I'm not allowed to say at 5 o'clock that I have to go to. And then Sunday, I've got more editing and stuff to do. I'm preparing for the show on Monday. And sorry, I didn't realize that was on the whole time. And then what else? And then 5 o'clock, I'm going to the Fortinbaugh lecture at I think it's at the college. I've been invited by the Civil War Institute for the last 3 years, and every year, I go to the parade, hang out, have a couple beers, and then I'm like, nah, I don't feel like doing anything. But this year, it's not on the same day as the parade, so I can do it. And also, I appreciate the invitation. I feel like a real jerk for not going the last couple of years. So, I don't want the invitations to stop, right? Who wants that? So you got to go. So I'm going to go. It's going to be nice. I'm looking forward to it. Wasn't there some new info that came out recently about JFK assassination from someone who was present or something? Yeah, there was more documents released that seemed to make people think that there was some CIA involvement. I didn't actually look at them yet. I'll have to probably look those up. But I read a couple articles about it, and I was like, I'm not hearing anything here that makes me change my mind. I don't doubt that there were... I'll give you a good example of a government cover-up that is, I believe, misinterpreted or misrepresented by conspiracy theorists, but it's true. Agent Hosty from the FBI. They kind of go into this in a movie called Parkland, which is a really good movie about the hospital staff, the Dallas FBI office, and Abraham Zapruder, and everything they went through on November 22nd, 1963. And, it was actually the 22nd, 23rd, maybe. It might have been 2 days. Point is, well done. What was I saying now? I forget. Oh, nope, lost it. Yeah, okay, got it. So in the FBI, they were they had a file on Oswald, and when Oswald was apprehended, Agent Hosty recognized the name, and he pulled up the file that he had on him. And in the file was a note that Oswald had left at the office. Now, we don't have the note because it was burned. But supposedly, according to Hosty in later interviews, I believe, he said that the note was in response to them paying Oswald a visit, and Oswald wasn't there, so they talked to Marina, his wife, instead. And Oswald basically said, if you ever talk to my wife when I'm not present, I will blow up this building. And they kept it in the folder. Well, his boss, he shows the boss this, and his boss is like irate, basically saying, we had the president's assassin 2 weeks ago, and you didn't arrest him. He threatened to blow up the building, and you didn't arrest him. And he goes, if I arrested everybody that threatened me or threatened to blow up the building or threatened to do something bad to us, I'd be constantly filling out paperwork for arrests made. I wouldn't be doing anything else. And the boss is like, but he assassinated the president. You know how this makes us look? Like, this makes us look bad. We could have prevented this if you had arrested him for threatening to blow up the building. Get rid of it. So he supposedly burned it and flushed it down the toilet. Now, that's a cover-up to cover their ass. That's not a cover-up because they were complicit in the assassination. But paranoid people like Mark Lane, Marguerite Oswald, Oswald's wife, Jim Garrison, that ilk, and the people that fall for their shit, would take that to be, we've got to hide all evidence of this because we were part of it. So we don't want anybody to know we're part of it. You're the FBI. You work for the federal government. If every agency of the federal government is in on it, who cares what your records say? Just don't give people the records. Like, I don't know. It's silly to me. My favorite conspiracy is we never went to the moon. It was filmed by Stanley Kubrick. Oh, yeah. Who insisted it had to be shot on location, meaning the moon. Apparently, being a Marine was not good enough for Oswald. No, it wasn't. No, because nobody took him seriously there. They had nicknames for him. I forget what his nickname was, but it had something to do. I think it was probably like Comrade or something. But it had something to do with him being a Marxist because he kept going around saying he's a Marxist-Leninist. He just wanted attention. He wanted people to think he was a great man. Carbine Phantom says, wasn't there some new info? Oh, I read that one. Okay. Ghost says, delusional narcissist sounds familiar. Sort of like what Meade did to the true savior of Gettys. Yeah, more like the other way around. Don says, watch 11/22/63. Oh, I love that one. That's a great one. Dustin says, good morning. Looking forward to stopping by later. Yes, sir. Speaking of AG today, we're having Greg Platzer on. He is a local musician who does a song for the Gettysburg Christmas soundtrack. Bo is also going to be in. We're going to talk a lot about a Gettysburg Christmas because next Thursday, we're not doing a show. Why? Because it's Turkey Day, guys. All right, we won't be able to. And the following Monday, yes, Monday is the premiere of the movie. So we won't have time next week to talk about it. It's not like you can get a ticket because it's completely sold out. But they're doing some showings over at the Seminary Ridge Museum and Education Center. Oh, wait. That's also sold out. I think they're doing 10 showings. They sold out in 10 minutes. So a lot of people are really this movie. I think they're going to enjoy it a lot. It's a cute movie. It's a nice, great commercial for Gettysburg businesses and Gettysburg in general. I think if you see it, you're going to like it. So yeah, looking forward to seeing you tonight, Dustin. It's going to be a packed house, but you'll come out to dinner with us and I can pay more attention to you. James says, I can't wait to watch the Cannons today on AG. Watch the Cannons on AG. What are you talking about? We're doing Cannons? Oh, that'd be cool. Oh, I said I would. Oh, thank you. You reminded me. I got to put those videos together. I like the time travel with Deadpool and Baby Hitler's room. I almost made it to Remembrance Day. Wife had something come up at the last minute. Well, she can take care of that, and you can come on out. Paul says, no, that was insensitive. I hope it's nothing serious. Paul says, got to finish, meaning from Finland, packing for the big Plymouth, Mass, America's hometown Thanksgiving parade and display. Wonderful. Francis, hello. Hello, Francis. Dogface sounds, oh, morning. Never lets the truth stand in the way of a good story. Amen. That's the long lines of print to the legend. The Italian 6.5 Carcano is a terrible and inaccurate rifle. Food for thought. Actually, it's not as bad as they say, and the round travels quite true and stable until, of course, it hits a target, and then, nature will take its course. But that's another myth out of the whole thing. And also that he was a bad shot. Has Maggie's drawers. That's not true either. Like the thing is, there's actual evidence that people can go and find. Like his scorecards are available from the Marine Corps. Like there's the conspiracy theorist's number one job is to cast doubt on the official story. And by doing so, all they need to do is throw out outrageous claims, because the bigger the lie, the easier it is to believe, and to point at something that is completely mundane and innocuous and raise an eyebrow and go, why would he do that if he didn't do this or whatever? And then people go, oh. But they know full well that none of us are going to go and try to find the actual documents they're talking about. They will show you a piece of a federal document and they will show you a sentence in it. They will show you an interview with Lyndon Johnson and Walter Cronkite years after the assassination, and they will only take out the part that makes it look like he doubts the Warren Commission, and they omit the part leading up to it and the part after it, which totally changes what he says. Because they know you're not going to go and find it. And before the days of the internet, it was a lot easier. It was a lot easier for you to not be able to go and find things because you actually had to go to places. If you wanted to watch that full Walter Cronkite interview, you'd have to go to CBS or whoever the hell he worked for at the time and get the full interview. Now, you can go on YouTube and it's there. If you need a certain document or something, it's probably on the National Archives website. So, like, it's a totally different day and age, and therefore none of us should be falling for this shit anymore, because we can find all the evidence, not just what Jim Mars or Jim Garrison or Mark Lane or any of these people cherry pick and present to you with a raised eyebrow and a catchy slogan or something. The Italians made some great weapons. The Beretta MP-38 is considered the best submachine gun in World War II. Yeah, I've never heard the Italians having a bad reputation for firearms. I've heard quite the opposite. And then that they would make this bad weapon is kind of curious to me. And then they would adopt it for the military. Yeah. And also, it's 80 yards. I think it's 266 feet or something like that. I have it on the thing. Well, we'll go into all that stuff. The distance that he has to shoot. And let's say it is inaccurate. Let me give you that for a second. It's an inaccurate weapon. Well, as I will present today, it's totally believable then that those 3 shots, the third shot being the best shot, the kill shot, went the way they went if it's an inaccurate weapon. And also, there's a little piece of evidence that I bet you didn't know about that I'm going to show on the show. I'm not going to tell you what it is. But it's from an FBI recreation of the assassination. And it wasn't even anything that the FBI noticed. It was noticed years later. And I think it might change your perspective on things. So anyway, I got to get going inside. I hope that you're... who is reading the Gettysburg Address at Remembrance Day? I don't know, James. Good question. I don't... I'm not proud of this. I got to change this. I don't really participate in things unless I'm invited. Like, I don't go to a lot of stuff. Because I don't know. You go to one, you go to them all in many cases. So, yeah. And it's cold. I hate winter. I hate cold. So I try to stay outside as little as possible. So I don't know. But I'm sure it's online. For the news, I'm sure Beth will have it. Morning, Heinous and Anna. How are you doing? I will catch you later. Looking forward to it. All right, yeah. So you guys, we'll see you on, tonight. We'll see you tonight on AG Today. You have yourselves a good one. I'm not going to say Dwight Gooden this time. Bye.